channel. My name is Coleen, and this is 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕, and this is Flosstube number 30, and the next to the last Flosstube for the year. So I do plan on doing a Flosstube on New Year's Eve too. So happy Christmas Eve, or happy holidays, whatever you're celebrating today. So yes, it's Christmas Eve. Oh, Christmas snuck up on us so fast this year. But it's been a pretty eventful, like, last month or so. Just to kind of fill you in, I'm not sure if I talked about it on the last Flosstube, but I've kind of been MIA since then. But Sam, our oldest bulldog, tore his CCL, which is equivalent to the human ACL, but you can't really repair it in a dog. So he had a thing called a TPLO, where they basically cut and restructured his knee bone and then put a plate in there. So that was a pretty big deal. The first 2 weeks, I'm not gonna lie, were really rough. Between my husband and I'm not sure which one of us' backs were like the worst, but she pretty much had to support his whole weight, getting him in the house, out of the house, to try and get him to go potty. But he's such a good dog, and he's done so well. And just in case if you hear him bark, we have him set up. I had to reverse my stage. I usually film in the other direction, but we converted our entryway. We taped down yoga mats so that he has a stable floor. So that's been his little nest for the last 6 weeks. So he's getting a little bit of cabin fever. Every time chance he gets out now, that he wants to roam around the house and look at everything. So, but he's doing really good. But it's just been very time consuming. Like I said, the first 2 to 4 weeks was a routine of getting him up, getting him outside, getting him fed, giving him medicine. It seemed like every 2 hours there was a different medicine. Physical therapy. A pampered dog, right? But yeah, so they're really, by the time I would get done working, taking care of the dogs at nighttime, there wasn't a lot of stitching action going on here, which, kind of stunk, but I did get some things done. So today what I'm going to do is kind of just do a recap of 2021 of a bunch of my different finishes. Some of them will be missing. But as I go down my list, if I don't actually have the physical piece here, I'll pop up a picture on one side. But just to kind of show you, so from the last time, I redid my office. So I kind of took everything out so I could reorganize. And I showed a couple pictures on Instagram the day I finished it. But behind me, I did a stenciled wall. And I believe I got the stencil from Stencil Rev. I'll have to check. But our walls are, like, I would say lightly textured, so I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, but it looks really, really nice. I'm so excited. So I actually bought a couple more stencils I'm going to do in different places throughout the house as I kind of, like, in 2022, like, start working on house projects and getting some stuff done. So I'm so excited. I love this space now. But I organized all of my stitching stuff, and I'm going to do a mini video to show, like, what's in these cabinets behind me. But I got these at IKEA. There's 2 separate cabinets. They have sliding doors. They're so nice. They're so roomy. I think the shelves are about 14 or 14 and a half inches deep. So there's plenty of space and room, but they still don't take up a lot of space in my office. And I love being able to, like, have needlework stuff on display here, hanging up some finishes and kind of arranging or whatever. But yeah, but this is where I spend most of my time, like, during the day, as far as my regular job, because I work from home now. Loving my job. It's so awesome. But like I said, at the end of the day, between work and dogs, my stitching time got very cut into. But I still have lots of fun plans for 2022 and getting back on the schedule of once a week with Flosstube, no matter what I do or don't have done. But a lot of things that I want to plan out. So just to kind of, like, quickly recap, for 2022, I had an original kind of like personal goal to try and get one finish a week. And that went really, really well through October. And again, once Sam had surgery, November and December just went to pieces. So for the year, I had a total of 40 cross stitch finishes. And I ended up framing about, I would say about 45 or 46 like framed finishes between the things that I started this year and then the closet full of probably over 70 finishes. It really, there's not have been, I should have put a bigger dent in there, but I think I framed about 10 out of the closet, and then I added to the pile. There's a pile here. There's probably at least 10 in that pile finished just from this year that didn't get framed. So, but I can't really scoff at that. That's a lot better than if I would have had no like goals at all. So I think I did really well with trying to keep on track. As far as widths and UFOs, I think I only had one finish. And so next year, next week on New Year's Eve, I'm going to do my floss tube to show what I have kitted up and my stitching goals, and I'll kind of like go over like how I want to deal with next year. But I think I have a good idea, so so tune in for that one next week. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is just kind of like go down the list. Maybe this is the first time you watch, so you might not have seen all of the frame finishes, and like I said, some of them I've already given away, quite a few of them, but I'll just kind of go down the list because sometimes I even forget like, oh yeah, I made that. But so I'll just start with kind of like the first ones that I have in front of me. So I did a lot of the Dreaming Girls from 𝗙𝗡𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗘 and I still have a couple works in progress. I'm still working on the winter stitch along. I'm only about halfway, and I forgot to bring those in here, but halfway with that. And then I picked up a couple of my Noah's Arks and was working on that. But I'll just kind of go through really quick. So this was the original Dreaming Girl stitch along, probably from, let me see. It was at the beginning of the year, so probably someplace maybe around March-ish or so that she did the stitch along, but it was in 3 parts. But this is how this one came out. And this one, it did something really funky. So over time, I had used, it probably got in the stain is probably what happened. I probably used a brush that I had rinsed out. And when water mixes with stain, I don't know if you can kind of see that white, kind of weird, but it's for me, so it doesn't really matter. But maybe eventually I might sand it back down and repaint it. But so I just carved kind of like a little key. She uses, 𝗙𝗡𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗘 uses a lot of keys in her like the motifs that she uses. So I thought that would be kind of cute. And then this one was Dreaming Frida, also from 𝗙𝗡𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗘. And this was a stitch along from probably about the same time frame, maybe April, May. But that's how this one came out. And this one I carved, I kind of painted the chevron to kind of like mimic the mountains in the back. And then those are just little carved flowers. They're like 3-dimensional, if you can see. But yeah, so I love these. I have these hanging in a hallway that I bought this big round farmhouse mirror, and I'm gonna hang all of the 𝗙𝗡𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗘s there, of the faces. So I also bought I think it's the Woodland Dreaming Girl. I haven't started that. It's kitted up. Like I said, November and December. I probably should have gotten a lot more done, but yeah, at nighttime it was just so easy to just get into bed. But that one, and then the winter one, and then, like I said, I hope she never quits making those. But I have a couple more. I still have to do Dreaming of Clint, I think is how you say it. That one's kitted up for next year too. So, and then this one was I think Garden of Dreams. And this one was probably from around, probably summertime. I would say maybe like May, June-ish. But this is how this one came out. And this one, let me back it up a little bit. So the frame is kind of like teal underneath with whitewashed. But then, I don't know if you can see those, I wood burned on the frame first and then added some carved flowers to kind of like mimic what these down here. But those kind of mimic the little stems. But I want to find more things to use this technique on. And again, in 2022, I need to start making some tutorial videos to show like how I do some of this stuff, and so you can implement it too. I said I was going to do it last year, but oh gosh, I don't know what happened. But yeah, so I just love being inspired by the stitching to like carve wood pieces to go like on the frames to kind of accentuate what's already there. So, but yeah, so those are 3 of the 𝗙𝗡𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗘. I think that's all I have here right now from her. And like I said, I forgot to bring my works in progress. I have 3 in my bedroom that I've kind of just been putting a few stitches in here and there, but one of them is the Christmas stitch along, and that's really cute. The last part just got released on December 15th, so maybe I'll make that like my New Year's, or focus on getting that done before New Year's, so then I can add it to the finishes pile. But yeah, so those were the 𝗙𝗡𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗘s. So I think what I'm going to do is, there's really she's the most that I had like the same designer from. So I'll just kind of like pick stuff up. The tables here is covered. And then I'll grab some of the things like that are up here on the shelf behind me. So if you don't mind me getting up every once in a while, but I'm not sure if I've talked about it before, but I would say probably since I'm about 10, I was pretty young. Like I love Noah's Ark theme. So I predominantly stitch a lot of Noah's Ark. I have, if I went through the binder, there's probably over 100 different Noah's Ark patterns waiting for me to stitch someday. It's a pretty thick binder of just art patterns. But like I collect, as I've gotten older, when I was younger, if I saw anything Noah's Ark, I bought it. So the attic has a couple bins full of stuff that I really don't have any place right now to display it or whatever. But predominantly now, I have a collection of probably about 350 or more Noah's Ark children's books. So the bookcase in our spare bedroom is filled with different wooden Noah's Arks in all of my Noah's Ark books. So someday we'll take a I'll do a video from in front of that bookcase and show you some of the books. Some of them are from the 1800s. I've just always loved that theme. And so, yeah, you'll see me stitching a lot of arcs. And I just did purchase a kit. It's a Danish arc kit. And I've wanted to purchase it for a long time, but it was just one of those things that never ever, got into my cart. But somebody actually sold me their kit, and what's really unique about it, so I'm gonna, I did like a floss matchup, and eventually I want to pass the kit on to somebody else that wants to stitch it, but it's the Danish Arc kit, and it was actually from 1978. The receipt, the handwritten receipt from the needle workshop was still in the bag, so it's so cool. But the linen was there, like all of I think they're like wool flower threads. And the pattern, and it's funny because the pattern is printed on this big, huge piece of almost, it kind of looks like a blueprint paper. And so you can tell that it really is from back in the day. So I was so excited to get that because it's really vintage. So I'm not sure what to do with it. I had thought about framing that or when I frame it to put it on the back. But somebody passed it on to me, so it might be fun to pass it on to someone else. But anyway, so yeah, so you'll see a lot of arc themes and stuff like that. So I'll show some of these behind me. It's pretty much what my office, all of this behind me is some of my different arcs that I've stitched. There's more waiting to be framed. Yeah. Oh, it's pretty bad, but I love it. And I don't have to explain it to any of you. I'm sure we all have those drawers and closets full of stuff just waiting for their moment to shine. So I'll start, I guess, with a few of my most recent finishes. It's just going to kind of be like a hodgepodge. We're just going to jump all over. But this was from the SubRosa design. And I finished this about a month and a half ago. And I still need to mail it out because I made it for a gift. But I need to fix this too. But it's the black pumpkin. And so it's the alphabet. It's so cool. And then I went and found fabric that kind of matched the same tone as the front. So it's all kind of just black and tan. And then I carved a little wood pumpkin stem. As you can see, it's a little wobbly, but it's because I started to pack it and it got bent over. So I think it pulled on the thread. But so I need to secure that down a little bit. So, and I bought some pins that are going to stick in it, but I just love these. I want to do a few more of these, in our spare time. But, yeah, so I was super excited as far as finishing wise too, that this came out nice. You know me, I'm not the best finisher, but yeah, so that was a recent finish. And then I'll put links below, obviously, to everything that I'm talking about today, where you could find the patterns, stuff like that. Also in November, and I actually really only participated for one day, but I did get a start. I started working on Huckleberry Farm from the Blue Flower, and it was from Gracie Stitch Along from Instagram, and she was doing a remember me stitch along. So sweet, and I still have a small package to mail out to her. So if you're watching, soon, very soon. But she was talking about stitching Noah's Ark, not Noah's Ark, I'm sorry, Shepherd's Bush stockings, and so we've stitched quite a few in our family too. Probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, probably more than a dozen. We actually just finished 2 for gifts this year. But I'll show the ones right now that, this is just to show how we finished them off. I'll start with these two, or I'll start with this one. So this is just kind of a quick example of how we finished ours off. So they're nice and big. So the back is kind of backed with quilting fabric. This one just has like leaves and like some gold like pattern on it, but so kind of like pine needles, I guess you would say. But this is how, so we put like a big cuff on, so they're very roomy. So there's lots of room. Like you can tell, look at my head. So it's like at least probably 3 heads tall. But these are done on 10 count tulle is what we chose to stitch them on with, just pro cotton, the overdyes or whatever. And so like I said, we've probably done more than a dozen of these all together. But each one has like, we've used blues, reds. They're so pretty when they're all hanging together. And actually, I'll switch really quick just to kind of show you where I used to film. You'll see Sammy too probably out there stitching, but Jeremy and I have our stockings out there. So I don't know if you can see one kind of like right there on the side. So ours are hanging away. So yeah, and that's Sammy. You probably can hear him snoring. So sorry about that, but there's really no way to move him. We kind of have him like nested there. So there's a sign on the doorbell like don't ring the doorbell because we don't want him to jump or anything like that. So, but yeah, so love stitching those. Every year I look forward to Shepherd's Bush putting out a new stocking. So, but yeah, so then I will go through just to kind of recap. Like I said, I know that some people like haven't watched maybe some of the older YouTubes and that way you don't have to go back and watch again. And just sometimes it's just fun to see things again. But these were some of my most recent finishes. This one isn't completely finished, but this was from the SubRosa design as well. And I had bought this metal plate probably 10 years ago. I think it came from, I'm blanking right now, but if I remember, I'll put it below. One of the online like craft places. And so I bought it with the intention, oh, I'll stitch something and put it in the middle someday. Well, someday finally came. So this was from SubRosa Design. It was Thankful, Grateful, Blessed. And what I did was, the original pattern is just this in the middle. And then once I stitched this, I took this and just rotated it so it would kind of fit the round format. So it's all pinned out and attached. I still haven't found, when I finally got around to like pinning this out and attaching it to the plate, like fall stuff was already kind of gone. So I had looked at Michael's and Hobby Lobby, but I want to eventually put like some sort of trim around this. But I just haven't found what I'm looking for. So right now, versus just putting something on it and not being happy with it, I'm just going to leave it probably until like later. But yeah, so I'm so excited to have this one all done and pinned out. But it came out really nice. So I was super excited to have that one done. So that was something that I did get finished in the last 6 weeks that I've been missing. So yeah. And then this was a finish. I'm not even really sure because it's been so long if I showed this. But this was the other stitch along. I forgot about this. From Barbara Anna. And it was the Halloween stitch along. Witchy Dreams. So, and I used, it was like a, probably, I think this is like a Joe blend, but kind of like a khaki color. It was just an old piece that I had in my stash, but I thought it came out really nice, like Halloween-y feel. So yeah, so that one needs to get framed up, and I'm not sure really yet what I'm going to do with it. This, I just kind of, whoops, attached it to the board with a couple pins to make sure the size was right. But yeah, almost forgot about that one. So yeah, Witchy Dreams. And then this was a finish that I definitely finished since the last time that I did a Flosstube. But this is from 𝗙𝗟𝗢𝗦𝗬, and it was the like the Christmas gnomes, or like gnomes Noel. This came out so cute. I'm so excited that I decided to do this one. The only thing that I did different was because my fabric was so light. This house up here was supposed to be white with a red roof, but just because you know, like the fabric was so light. This was from, I got this from Stony Creek. It's like the printed fabric that has like little big, well, I shouldn't say little, they're bigger white polka dots, but came out so cute. So yeah, that was the only change I made on this one. But so I gotta think of something cute to frame this one up. So now, like, I've kind of been gnome crazy. But I haven't bought anything gnomes, but you see so many cute things. I saw the cutest gnome salt and pepper shaker, and the cutest gnome, what do you call it? Cookie jar. But I refrained. But I just love them. I think they're really, really cute. So I probably shouldn't because I'll probably regret it. But But yeah, so then I think I did show this the last time. I actually cut a frame for this, and I didn't like how it came out. So it's just kind of been sitting, and I hope I didn't get something on it. But this was from, I think this was also from SubRosa. P is for pumpkin pie. But I really like how that one came out too. So yeah, so that was like an older finish. And then these are the finishes. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, there's 10 finishes from this year that I stitched. That for the 10 that I got out of my closet and framed, there's 10 more that just took its place. So I don't know what I'm thinking, but so these are the finishes that I had this year that didn't get framed and framed up. And but this one was Lizzie Kate, and it's Love My Dog, but I added an S, and then it says Jazz and Sam. And then I found this little charm on eBay, and it says Good Dog. I don't know if you can see it, but I thought that would be cute to add to it. And then I use a Just Another Button Company like flower for the top of it. So that one needs to get framed up. And so my idea for that one, I'll have to show them. I've stitched those a couple times, like the cat one and the dog one. But I'm going to make the frame look like a collar, and then attach like their a little hook that I can put their rabies tags on, and then hang it probably near the door, just so that I always know where they're at. But I thought that would be cute to like I said, make the frame look like a collar. So that's the plan for this one. And then I got behind on these, but I absolutely love Wanderling Stitches did a series for the whole year of the hare. So this is hare and strawberries, and then this is hare and honeybees. I love these, and I just haven't had the time to frame these up, but I still have a couple more of her patterns that I need to buy. But my plan is like I want to hang these in a little grouping in my back hallway. I just love, love, love this hare. So I'm excited. I wonder if she's going to do another series this year. So we'll have to wait and see. Hang on, I'm going to move this so I don't keep clunking it. And then this one I actually finished probably I finished this in February. But this was from Stitchy Kitty, and it was Woodland Critters, and it's just adorable. I just saw it and I was like, I thought it would be a quick stitch because it's so tiny, but there's a lot of color changes, and then the back stitching, it actually took me longer than I thought it was going to, but I'm so glad that I knocked this one out. I'd had the pattern in my stash for a while, so I have an idea of how I want to frame it, and it just never happened this year. So next year, Woodland Critters. And then this was from an online blog, 𝗙𝗟𝗢𝗦𝗦, I think 93 or 94. I'll put it below, I always forget. But it was an Autumn Heart, and she has a whole bunch of these. I've also done the one that has like the seagulls, and I did it like in a Needle Necessities Threadworks. That's all this is. That's a Threadworks, but it might be an old Needle Necessities skein, but they look so cute when you do them up like this. So that one in the pile too. And then these definitely have to get back in my rotation. I bought the kit from 𝗦𝗧𝗙𝗘, the 4 Seasons from Barbara Anna. And at first I was going to stitch them all in a row, but then I had an idea of how I want to frame them. So I want to frame them separate and hang them in a grouping. So I ended up, instead of stitching it all together on the piece of fabric that came in the kit, I bought separate fabric. And so I started with the intention of like, I'll stitch one in summer, one in fall, one in winter, one in spring, and then be done. And well, here's just summer. So, but they're so cute. I think this is, yeah, it's 28 count. So yeah, so summer's done. And so I need to pick that back up. So maybe in January, I'll make like winter part of that rotation. Now, like I said, that Sam's on the mend. Things are getting a little easier. Fingers crossed that 2022 is a better year of not going to the vet so often, but we'll see. And then, so I am behind. So these are from 𝗙𝗟𝗢𝗦𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗘, and these came from Etsy. It was from the Time Window series. So there's one for every month, but the last one that I ended up finished is September. So I still need to finish October, November, and December. And so I'll just get up really quick and to show you, these are some of the finishes. Yeah. Actually, now that I think about this, I actually only started these when in April. So I have to do October, November, December, January, February, March. So I only have half the year stitched. I fell farther behind than I thought. But this is what I did for each month. Just a recap for people that might not have seen it before. So I made like a stand-up frame. So this has a base that I used like a paper mache border to kind of, it's like beading, but yeah, that's actually paper and it's like hard. You wouldn't even know that it's not wood if I didn't tell you. So, and they stand up on a tabletop. You can kind of see them all up there on the shelf. And then I kind of just carved little things that kind of mimicked what was in the picture. So like the little chick holding the string of eggs, I kind of draped over here. And then each frame, I kind of carved something freeform to like sit in front of the frame. So this one has a carrot, and then this is July. And July has a little honeybee, because there's like little bees, and then a little sunflower. And then I tried to use like wire elements, like for like the leaves and the carrot, the stem. And then, so yeah, each one, I won't take them all down here. I'll show some of the pictures too. But this one has a really cute little seagull. And then to kind of go with like the summer theme, and then like a little piece of watermelon. But yeah, so they each have something kind of sitting in front of them. So yeah, so those were super fun to stitch, and now I just need to catch up. So yeah, I totally forgot that I didn't start those in January last year, so I'm definitely behind. But yeah, so it's so fun to have that shelf up there to kind of like hold some of the little treasures, and probably I'll like switch it around during the year. Like I said, Sam still has another 6 weeks out in the entryway, but I might leave this like turned this way and kind of use this as my backdrop and change it up, whatever's in the background. So I'll show these really quick since we're up here on the shelf. So this was from 𝗙𝗟𝗡𝗏. This one I finished probably in February of last year. It's 𝗙𝗟𝗡𝗏. I don't even know if I have it written down here, but it's, I think it's the snowman from one of the years. I can't remember, but anyway, I carved like a little cardinal that sits on top, the little sleepy cardinal, and then it's hard to see, but this border too is also like kind of like a primitive. It's actually paper mache, but like I said, once you attach it to the frame, you would never know that it's not wood. So I love that technique, and I've used it a few times in different frames that I've done. So that's always really fun. And these, I don't know if you've tuned in for the saga of First Frost, but my original idea of what I wanted to do with the First Frost, these are from Hands On Design. I loved these when I saw them. I know that there was a lot of people that thought that they didn't look like snowman or whatever, but I really, really liked this pattern as soon as I saw it, and I love the color palette. But what I ended up doing was these stand up, and each snowman has like a little scarf, and then, but I added a nose just to make it a little more, it's a wool. I kind of just chose some different wool patterns, and then each one has a carved snowflake. And again, the paper mache beaded border. And like I said, these were really hard because the original concept didn't exactly come out the way that I wanted to, but in the end, it worked out, and I'm really happy with how these came out. So yeah, these were First Frost from Hands On Design. So those were fun to get done, and I won't put all this stuff back. I'll just wait till the end. And then, so yeah, so I like to do that too, just for different options, just to have frames that stand up on a tabletop. So, you know, like even in my house now, compared to my old house, I have a lot less wall space. So I'm always trying to like find different ways to creatively like display things, so, and not have to keep putting things away or whatever. So build more shelves, right? So next I'll show, this was from Bent Creek, and this was Made in the USA Snowman. And so this one I kind of just painted the frame kind of like two-tone, and then added some snowflakes, and then carved a little star to go on top. It's just really simple. And then I'll show the back of this one because I really like how this matches up. I always try to find paper to back the back of my frame, so like use scrapbook paper or wrapping paper. Sometimes I can't find big enough paper, so I have to use craft paper. So, but I just think it's so cute, especially if you're giving gifts. It kind of adds to like the back of the frame to use like the decoration papers or whatever. But yeah, Dollar Tree, dollar store, cheap wallpaper, wrapping paper, and it works great for that purpose. So, and it also like it sticks really easy to the wood of a frame. So yeah, and then this was from, I think January of last year. This is just a regular frame, and I'm going to show a few more. I don't make a card frame for everything. I kind of like to mix it up on the wall to have like just bought frames versus things that I make. But this is from 𝗙𝗟𝗢𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗘, and it's just Texas with the little charm, and it just has a simpler frame. This frame actually just came from Walmart, and I cut it down, so like $5. I think it wasn't even $5. I don't think. I think it was probably cheaper than that. But yeah, so if you have like access to a chop saw, and you want to frame something, I mean, it looks really nice. It kind of, I don't know if you can kind of see it. It's kind of rubbed a little bit, but yeah, it looks nice. So, but another example, so this is one that I just framed. This one I stitched in 2018. So this came out of the closet, but I just framed this probably in the last week or two. But this was from Sisters and Best Friends 2x2. And what I did with this one, these were both actually rescued frames from Goodwill. Great place to find frames. I check in there probably at least once a month, maybe twice a month. But it's kind of nice. This one's like a little rope frame. And sometimes if you look too at like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, if there's damaged frames, they'll mark them down for super cheap. But if I'm going to cut them down, a lot of times I can cut around, and I'll show an example of this, cut around the damaged part and still have a really nice usable frame. But yeah, so there'll be another arc to hang somewhere. I was going to put it in here, but I'm running out of space in here. So I'm going to make one of my hallway halls down here like an arc grouping. But and then this one I finished probably about February of last year too. This was a pattern that I think I got off of Etsy, but like again, everything will be linked below. But growing up, I love all things Godzilla, and so when I was in Iraq in 2009, 2010, I was able to get the box set of pretty much every Godzilla movie that was made up until that point. And so like the old Japanese versions of Godzilla, like as a kid, I loved them. I was obsessed with Godzilla. So when I saw this pattern, I had to have it. So this is May Godzilla Destroy This Home Last. And actually this one's going to be a gift. And then I back the paper with like some paper that has Japanese writing on it. So it kind of works out perfect. But yeah, this one I couldn't resist. And it has a little house. And I don't know if you can kind of see the flames. That was like my little tongue in cheek. But yeah. So Godzilla was my favorite. So, but yeah. So moving on. Oh, there's so much. Sorry, I didn't realize like this is probably going to be a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But, you know, it's Christmas Eve. What else do you have to do, right? Wrap presents and watch me, I guess. So this one I finished probably about midsummer. And it was a finish that I had this year. But from Bent Creek, I really like Bent Creek's patterns. I've stitched quite a few. But it's land that I love. And so I carved a whale. So if you can see him. Everything is like kind of like 3D. And this one I haven't put a paper on the back yet. But if you can kind of see, I'll get kind of close up. There's the little carved seagull, and he's on like a little pier, and I wrapped some like jute twine around it. But yes, this one's a stand-up. So this one sits up in our entryway. Eventually, I have a nautical themed bathroom, so I'll probably put it in there so it stands up on the counter. But yeah, this was probably one of my favorites. I have a couple, but this was definitely one of my favorites. I love nautical theme from this year. So add that one to the pile. And then next, this was another one of my favorites. The frame ended up getting a little evolved because when I started it, like I had an idea and then it wasn't working out. So I just kind of rolled with the punches as it started like evolving. But this is from Hands On Design, and it was Rusting Beach Face. And as soon as I saw this one, I knew I had to stitch it. So I did two different things in this one. So the pattern is stitched just as is, but I cut out a little wooden button. So I wanted a little seagull sitting on her hat. And then I carved another one sitting down here on these little piers. And this also stands up. And then the top, I carved a little surfboard. So it's like the tiki bar, like that's where she's sitting at. So, but yeah, so this one stands up too. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, so this one will probably go in one of the bathrooms too. I kind of still have to, some of these finishes haven't even found homes yet. I have a cabinet in our entryway that had like 6 things just sitting on it. I didn't know what to do with them all. I'm like, oh, this is the first time that I was really dedicated this year to getting things framed and finished, and now I'm like, what do I do with them all? But yeah, I know it's a bad problem to have, but so next up, this is from Primrose Cottage. It was a stitch along. I think it was called Be Happy. And then this one is a frame, and I'm eventually going to make a tutorial, but this is the frame that I used where you paint and then you crumble up cornflakes, let them dry and harden, and then paint over them and then scrape away. So you can kind of see like it kind of leaves like a very like rustic primitive, but that's what I kind of wanted for this one. And then I carved some little bees that kind of match the bees that are in the pattern. So this is one of my favorites too from this year. And I put a happy little polka dotted paper on the back. So yeah, so that was another fun one. And then moving on, this is probably my second most favorite, and then I'll show my most favorite. This one too was one that kind of evolved, but this was from, sorry, I have so many I have to look. From, I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm really sorry. But this one I finished probably, oh, let me look. Sorry, I'm just gonna look. Give me a second here. I guess I don't even have this one written down. But it's Love You to the Moon and Back. And I'll put the designer below. I'm really sorry that I'm blanking right now. But this one I really like because so I carved these 2 little birds. So there's one guy and there's the other one. And when I first started working on this, I carved like the little branches like hanging off each side. And I wanted it to kind of have like a storybook feel. So I kind of did this like stain around the inside of the frame. But when I went to drill for the first bird, it was, once I stuck the dowel in, it was crooked. I'm like, you know, like I don't want to have to do this again. But then I realized like the way that they came out, they're kind of like leaning forward, so it almost looks like they're peeking around the front of the frame to kind of like look at each other. So it was a very happy accident that it turned out that way, so I was happy about that. So that is probably my second to most like favorite that I finished this year. Here's another one. This is from the Blue Flower, and it's Tutor Bee. I really like how this one came out. I like bees, obviously. My last name's Lochabay. So I like anything bees, but as soon as I saw this one, I just love the colors. The frame, this kind of has like a little subtle vine, and then I just kind of kept it plain since the pattern's a little bit more busy. The first frame I originally put on this, it was like busy on busy. So I reframed it into this, and I'm much happier with this. So this is another one, still looking for a home. I have a whole bunch on my dresser in the spare bedroom because I haven't gotten around to like painting walls and deciding how I want to group things, and I need to build some shelves. You know, it's a snowball effect. There's so much to do, but yeah, I'm not going to complain. Like I said, I feel very blessed that I was able to get as much done this year as I did. So the next one, this one I probably finished about mid-year. Be You, Just You from 𝗙𝗟𝗡𝗦𝗦. This is one that I stitched this year as well. And this is one that I did, this is just a frame that I picked up probably from Goodwill. It might have been from Michael's. But on the inside, so this is just a kind of like a fillet that you'd buy, like a piece of wood trim you'd buy at Lowe's. So, and then the only thing that I did different is I made like a gel. So this frame was just green, but I made like a gel mixed with some paint and kind of like pushed it into this ridge and then wiped it. And then whatever gets left in the ridge just kind of stays. So that's like a technique to kind of like add to pick up some of like the subtle parts of a frame, just to kind of change it. Or like I said, if you buy a frame that's a little damaged, you can disguise like things that are wrong with it or whatever. So So next, this is probably one of my favorites, only simply because this I stitched before we got Jasmine. So we have 2 English Bulldogs. Sam is almost 2 years old, and Jasmine's about 8.5 months old. And so this is Jazz's first Christmas. We're excited. But I stitched this at the beginning of the year before we got Sam. And this is from Stitchy Kitty. And it's the dog did it. So I carved this to kind of look like, if you kind of see from the side, it almost looks like it's like little slats, like a dog house. And then the little water bowl has some water in it. So that's just like freestanding. And then I carved a little wooden button and wrote Sam's name on it. So, but then my favorite part too, the little carved chicken that sits on top. So that's how that one came out. But yeah, this is probably my favorite. Only because one, I did it for Sam, but I just really like how the finish came out. Like it was like all came together and I was like super happy. So yeah. So honestly, we're probably only like about halfway through some of these things, and there's things that I even forgot to take down off the wall. I'll get up here in just a second and grab a couple that I definitely want to show, but just like this corner that I have over here, I have like a little Halloween corner in my office, like on the opposite side. In my old ones, you could kind of see a little bit over my shoulder, but there was Smiling Back Jack from Bent Creek that I finished this year. Mr. and Mrs. Blue Flower from Mosey and Me. Mosey and Me is also one of my favorite all-time designers. And I believe Frank passed away last year, the year before, but yeah, I never was able to meet him, but just him and his wife always just seemed like the nicest people. I loved watching them on TV and loved their patterns. So I have a whole bunch in my stash that I'll eventually get to, but yeah, so I was able to knock out Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs. Blue Monster, and then Buttons Black from Plum Street Samplers is back there. And then the Autumn Squirrel from Barbara Anna is hanging back there. Hands on Design. I think it says if you're reading this, you're blissfully unaware. I think blissfully unaware is the name of the pattern. But that one's hanging up there. And then I have one from Glendon Place, the witch that's sitting in the chair. That's a really big one. There's another Barbara Anna. October 31st is back there. There's a little witch. And then Witch's Hollow that I just finished framing like probably 2 Flosstubes ago. So I'll put some of these pictures up here. Like I said, there's there's a lot, and like I guess this is probably the longest Flosstube that I've done so far. But I am gonna grab a couple things behind me just to show. Some of these are old finishes. The 2 that I'm gonna grab, these I finished like a while ago, but I just framed them just to show as an example. These 2 are both from Just Nan, and they both were original like ready-made frames, and I cut them down. So this is Noah's Needle, and I'm honestly not one for gold frames, but this pattern just called for it. There's a lot of gold like threads in it and like the charms, but it's kind of hard to see. But this frame, it kind of has like a little blue, like a like a gray blue rubbed into the frame, so it perfectly picks up all these like tealish blue colors in the pattern, and I love how this came out. So this frame only cost me $14, because what had happened is that in one of the rails there was a chip, but because the frame was probably, I would say, at least like 16 by 20, but because I was only going to be using this short amount and not the whole like 16 inches, I was able to just cut that away. So yeah, it was on my clearance rack, $14, and it's, for me, it's perfect for this pattern. So I was so excited to finally get this frame. I stitched this in 2011, and that's when I finished it. I probably started it many years before then, but yes, it's been waiting 10 years to get framed, and so I think I did it justice. So I'm super excited to see these hanging up on the wall. And then the other Just Nan, I think this one is called Noah's Ark Reborn. This was a kit, and I stitched this in 2013 when I was on mobilization. That means when I was in the Army, you get sent someplace to work, and we got sent there for a year. So I would spend a lot of time, like at nighttime, as soon as I got done working. That was like my escape, was stitching. So I stitched a lot that year. But this was a really cool frame. This one came from Hobby Lobby, and I just cut it down. But I just like the texture, but being black, it doesn't really take away from the frame. But I saw it and I was like, yeah, I want that one. So those two, yeah, it's nice to have those up to kind of just like kind of complete my like wall back there. And I won't move all of that stuff. But that is the cut through Noah's Ark from Bati Threads, and I actually stitched that when I was on deployment in Iraq in 2009-2010. I finished all the stitching, so we usually would get maybe like one day off a week, sometimes not, but so on those days off I would get up really early and do nothing but do a stitch marathon. Like I said, it was a great mental escape. But when I came home, I had finished all the stitching, and then I just had to backstitch, and that is the piece that I learned I will never leave backstitching until the end. So now I am definitely a backstitch as I go, because it's not worth it. Unless it's like the kind of backstitching that like you have to leave like long threads. If it's regular backstitching, I do it as I go, because that was painful to have to just backstitch for days. But I'm very proud of that finish. I really love that. So I have a couple more of those cut throughs to do in my stash. And then behind me right there, that is a Homespun Elegance Noah's Ark. And then above that is Sue Hillis's Noah's Ark. And then just over to the side, I'll grab it down. This is a pattern from Etsy, and I'll put the designer name. And it's an expensive pattern, but it's worth it. It's a Noah's Ark ABC. And I don't know, I'm probably, 5'9", so it's probably about 3.5 feet tall, probably maybe 4 feet. But this was like a labor of love, and this took me probably about a year. I worked on it about a year and a half, but I finished it in 2015 because we had just moved from Texas to Hawaii when I finished this. So that, it's kind of my piece de resistance. Is that how they say it? Yeah, that's probably the biggest cross stitch piece that I've done. But when I saw that pattern, like I said, it's not a cheap pattern. Like the pattern I think sells for, I want to say between $40 and $50, but yeah, that kept me busy for a good year and a half, but well worth it. And it's a foreign designer, and but I love it. I love the colors. I did sub out some of the threads for overdyed. It's been a while, obviously, since I stitched that to be able to say what I used. But yeah, that's probably the biggest, nicest piece that I have stitched. And then this one I want to show. I've showed it before. I also have, I have so much. I have two more, I like to stitch Advent as well. And I have 2 Advent work in progress. And then I have 2 that I fully finished. I stitched the 𝗙𝗟𝗢𝗦 Advent calendar with the wooden buttons. That one's complete. It just needs to be framed. And then I did a permanent kit. It's the elves, like children and elves, and snowman. That one's really cute, and I did that on the fabric that has the white polka dots. And those have been done for years, and I just need to get them framed. So those aren't finished, but I do love stitching Advent. I have a Doreen Jones that's in my stash that I need to stitch. Yeah. But this is from, I'm probably not even going to remember. I'll put the link below. But the original pattern is just this part up here. But I saw, this has been years ago, I stitched this. I'm pretty sure I finished this probably around 2012 or 13. And I didn't date this one. But I saw this finished on Pinterest. And when I saw their finish, I'm like, I have to do it just like that too. So the only thing I did a little different was like I just found my own motifs. And then each one of these just has like a little wooden hoop. And then I just found some really cute plaid that kind of matched the same thread color. And then I sewed metal buttons. So each little hook and then attaches to the button. And then what I've done over the years, I think I only have a couple that are empty. But I find like vintage Christmas toys to like put in each pocket. So like a vintage doll. Oh, what else we got? Oh, sorry, little doll. So like a doll. There's some really cute. Let me find where they're at. There's all kinds of things. There's like little trees in here. There's some like little wooden dolls. There's a little skater. Like I said, some Christmas trees. So anytime like I'm out like at, what do you call it, antique stores, I try to find like vintage Christmas. Here's like a little lamb. I can't get it out right now, but I wanted to find, not that long ago, I found, I don't know where they're at. Oh, here's one. These are so precious. I have to show these. They're little wooden angels, and they're so cute. And I'm like, I wish I could find more of these. And of course, I've Googled. I'm always on the hunt for stuff, but I have 2 of these. I'm not sure where the other one is, but yeah. So I've tried to fill each one of these with vintage Christmas toys. There's a Santa that's supposed to be skiing. I didn't take him out of his package though. But yeah, this is my other one that I'm really proud of, that I actually like finished it like from top to bottom, and it worked out like the way like I planned, the space between the pockets and all that stuff. So yeah, this is also one of my other favorites. And then this one I finished just like last year, maybe a year and a half ago. But this is from Owl Forest, and it's the I'm probably gonna blank. I know I should have wrote all this down. I'm really sorry, but it was an Owl Forest, and I also have, I'm working on the Russian New Year's alphabet from them, and I downloaded the free fall pattern that they offered. But the next one that I want to order is, they have a kit that has like these, so that one's going to go on my list for 2022. But I'll talk more about 2022 next time when I film what I want to plan on doing. So this finish, this isn't actually a really old finish, but I need to take it apart. But I wanted to show this just for like another way you can do framing. I stitched this probably about at least 15 years ago, but I need to take it apart. It really needs a wash and press, and I want to cut new mats for it. I'll probably leave the frame the same, but this was from Stony Creek. It was one of the 𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗍𝗓s, and I have like all the 𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗍𝗓, like Noah's Ark. But this one, I don't know if it's hard to see. You can see the plaid. So what that is I dry mounted fabric to a mat board and then cut the mats. That's just a cool way to like add like something different to your framing. But yes, this is very neat. This white mat is kind of trashed from all the times that this has moved around, didn't have glass. So yeah, I want to recut this top mat, but I need to take this, unpin this, and give it a good wash and press, and then just repin it up. But yeah, I always wanted to stitch more of these. I had the patterns, but then, you know how like you go, like I kind of went through that phase of 𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗍𝗓s and then not 𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗍𝗓s. But I still love teddy bears, but not to like pursue that anymore. But I've always just loved that one just because of how it was framed. So I've always kept it. And then this is just an example. I've showed this one before. I know I've saw a couple people on Instagram working on it, but just to show how I framed it. This was from Ink Circle's 99 Bottles. So I kind of painted it to look kind of more like a tavern beer sign, and then I attached an actual beer bottle opener. And people have actually used it, so people come over to our house for like a party or a get together, and they'll open their beer on the frame. So it's kind of fun, like fun and functional. And but yeah, this was a fun one to stitch. I actually stitched this when I was a nurse. On my lunch hour, I could usually get one bottle done on my lunch hour, or pretty close to it. So because we have 45 minutes for lunch. So so that one I think I finished it 2012. And I framed it right around that time because I used to have this hanging in our house. Whoops. In our house that we lived in San Antonio. So we didn't move from there till after that. So I did good for that one. And then this was one, a previous finish that I framed this year. And this was a frame that I picked up at Hobby Lobby for $6. It was like this like goldish, I don't know, blackish colored frame. But this is just to show what you can do with chalk paint. So like I kind of just taped it off, This is a really heavy frame too. Painted this purple and then painted the rest white and kind of speckled it with yellow polka dots. But yeah, this is from, I think this is from Sisters and Best Friends 2, Housework Makes You Ugly. I always love this pattern. But I finished this one in 2013 and it just got framed this year. So that just shows you, yeah. Some of these things have waited a long time. And then this was a reframe that I just recently reframed. So it got a wash and press. But this was another frame that came from Hobby Lobby that was marked down to like dirt cheap. I think like $12. Like I said, one of the corners was busted up, but I just cut around it. And it kind of has, it's like wood. It's kind of hard to see. It kind of looks like that mottled turtle wood. And then the inside is gold. But this was I think this was a Busia kit. But yeah, so that was how that went. So this needs a home too. But yeah, so that was a reframe. So yeah, I had about 3 or 4 of my arcs that finally got framed. And then, I can't remember, it's been a while. It's been a few floss tubes ago. When I was at home over the summer, we kind of hit up a few of the different like antique shops or whatever. And at first, I bought this and I was going to like stitch something to like mount in it. But I ended up repurposing it. So this was like a little metal plate that I bought at an antique store. It's just like a little metal tin, but I use it to display some of my needle minders. So there's like my mini, and that's not all of them, but I kind of just started getting on the needle minder craze. I think I mentioned in one of my earlier floss tubes, I really liked how people on Instagram, you get sucked in, like match their needle minder to whatever the theme is of what they're working on. And I was like, yo, that has to be me. So I picked up quite a few, but yeah, they're super cute. I like looking at them. So this ended up being perfect to just, they stick right to it. And so I just went and bought a little easel at Hobby Lobby. And oops, so it can just sit back there and be displayed. But yeah, so yeah, one of these days I'll like make a like mini tour of my different like art collections, and I have like a cabinet that has all kinds of stuff in it, and just sit down in front of it and kind of go through it. But yeah, so I'm sure that there's a bunch of things that I've left out. So like next week I definitely want to do a parade of my works in progress, my plans for my UFO, my plans for 2022 stitching. But yeah, so that I wanted to share just to kind of get myself motivated. Go over plans, you know, the big plans for 2022. But yeah, like I said, I know that there's a lot of things that I probably finished on this list. I could probably go on for 2 hours, but nobody got time for that. So yeah, so what I'll do is, like I said, next week, a little parade of everything that's going, all the things I have kitted up. That should be a fun one. It's always fun to go through. Might even pull out some of the binders to show how deep it really gets. But yeah, but I would love to show you like how I have everything organized. Love these cabinets. I love this space. I love my stenciled wall. I'm kind of like stencil crazy now. It just adds so much, like the before and after. Like I said, and this is the room I work from, so normally I kind of moved everything off here, but I have 2 computers that I work off of from work, and it's just like my cozy spot. So, but the downside to that is in the last 4 months I've gained about 12 pounds, and it's just because, you know, like being static, you're sitting down all day and working, so I'm not moving around as much. So I'm also going to make 2022 in my floss tube a mini weight loss journey, because yeah, I don't need, the way my back has been, I don't need the extra 10 to 15 pounds on my frame. So maybe we can do it together. But it'll hold me accountable if I have to tell everybody this week, like, hey, you know, like, hey, I ate really good. I feel like then I don't want to shame myself, so I'll be on the straight and narrow. But yeah, so I know that there's so much more like that I want to show, but like I said, we're almost at the hour mark. So yeah, so when we come back for New Year's, I think next time I want to do a little giveaway. I have some things that I made that, you know, like just to show my appreciation for everybody watching. I have made so many wonderful new friends, and it's been a great outlet for me to be more social and to be more accountable with my like stitching, but also like I like to share, and like I said, just working from home. It's just me and the dogs all day. It's so, like, the people that I've met in the last year, it's just such a warm, wonderful community of people. And I just want to extend, like, my appreciation for joining me whenever I do finally upload a video. But yeah, just like I said, become friends and sharing each other's lives and stitching journeys. I'm very inspired by everything that I see on Instagram. Every time I log in, it makes me like, okay, gotta get motivated and stitch tonight. So yeah. So I hope everybody out there has a very merry and blessed Christmas. If you're struggling at Christmas time this year, you're not alone. There are so many people that do. It can be a very difficult time of the year. So if you're hurting and you need someone to turn to, I'm always a shoulder and an ear. If that's not enough, don't ever be afraid to reach out for help. There's always somebody out there that cares. You're important to somebody, and just to let people out there know that you're not alone. There's so many people that can be there to help you. So I just want to say that to be able to give back to everybody that's been so generous to me. So again, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Christmas Eve here in Texas. It might already be Christmas Day, some other parts of the world. Santa might have already come, but we have some gifts in our stocking we have to open later, so we'll do that. And then I have to hurry up and do a mad dash of cleaning the house because we have guests coming tomorrow. So yes, again, I will see you next week on New Year's Eve. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll even go live and be here on New Year's, like, to bring in the new year. I'm not really sure yet, but if I do, like, I'll put it out ahead of time to let you know. So again, thank you so much for a wonderful 2021. I love you all, and happy stitching. Bye.